back to the continuation of our episode on the Walking Dead comics 25 to 28. As I mentioned at the end of the last one, we ran about 49 minutes, so we broke it up so as not to, bore you guys with an hour's worth of chatting. I promise we'll figure this out. We'll get our podcast time nailed down a little better, along with the amount of content that we're covering from the comic book itself. In the meantime, enjoy. And thanks for coming back.
And I want to say the cover for 27, fantastic. I really like it a lot, actually. It's zombies reflected in a visor, and it's really quite stunning.
It's a very cool one, and I guess answers the visor down question. Like, clearly you need to put the visor down because you're not going to get a cool cover like that if the visor's up. So,
exactly.
Yeah, it's a very cool cover.
Yeah, I really like it a lot. I think of the Riot Gear set, that's my favorite.
Yeah, I'm gonna put a vote in for the next one when we get there, but I'm with you. It's close.
So there's more drama with Laurie and Carol that I just really don't care about.
This is where Laurie's really hammering. Carol's making the pitch. It's a new world. There are new rules. We can do whatever we want. And Laurie's continuing to point out, you don't even know if I have sisters. I don't know if you have sisters. We don't really know each other. Our bond is the fact that we're both not dead. and we're in the same prison together. So, yeah, it's not going well.
All of which are fair points
Yes.
that I have to say in Laurie's favor, which I don't think you'll ever hear coming out of my mouth ever again.
But you can be relieved that she kind of follows all of that lucid, fair facts with, and I don't think you even love Sophia anymore. Just that she kind of throws that in there, which
A little
while
sucker punch there.
that was a little. I'm not sure if you're looking for things to end well, whether that's a territory you explore. If you are going to explore it, you do it that way. But that's just
I'm just going with crazy pregnant lady with hormones.
okay.
I think. I don't know a lot of pregnant women that had an edit button. It's usually breaks pretty early on. Okay, so they start following their way out to following tracks that have left the helicopter scene. And Axel and Tyrese, left behind, are sitting outside waiting, wondering how long they're going to have to sit outside waiting. And that's where we see the Woodbury sign.
Yep. And in that, right around this time, I'm not sure the exact timing, when Axel and Tyrese are having their chats, they get a little bit into Axel likes this world better. So which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, because there's the cell doors aren't shut when he goes to sleep at night,
Yep.
Which I guess makes a little bit of sense. I mean, yes and no. I suppose I can see his point to some degree. Being a criminal and being in jail and not getting out or having any freedom to begin with. I suppose if you're still not going to have freedom really to get out and do stuff because there's walkers everywhere, then I suppose I don't know.
He does now have a women's shower to accidentally walk into.
He does.
So this is probably a trade up for him. I think he's probably happy about that. But.
Yeah, and I have to say. And I get the fact that the comic's written by a guy, but a little bit of fan service for the ladies wouldn't kill him, considering all the dudes that he shows, not so fit.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you're your options here are sparse. I guess over time here there will start to be some more better options than Dale to see.
Yeah.
Shirtless.
Yes. I know. I'm just saying because they showed Axel during that scene with both women naked in the shower. They showed him in his towel, and no. No.
No, I'm confused. You didn't want the towel on Axel? Please tell me you wanted the towel.
Didn't want any of it. Nothing. Big black square. I'd been fine with just taking a marker and filling that whole sucker in.
Have him talk off panel.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, I'm with you there.
Like he's talking from a closet or something, and there's just a little speech bubble coming out. That's all I needed.
That's fine. Okay, I can support that.
Okay. So then we go back to the whole thing just sort of flips back and forth between Axel and Tyrese, and then the trio that's out looking for what happened to the survivors, if there were any, to the helicopter crash. And this is when we learned that Woodbury has a Walmart.
Yes, indeed.
Suppose like all they needed was like a Starbucks on the other side of that frame, and it would have been like absolutely middle America perfect. And they're starting to get followed because it's getting dark and they can't see so well. Michonne can hear some of them, but they can't get a real good beat on how many there are because it's getting darker. And then all of the sudden, there's a big bright light.
We get to meet some new people.
Yes, we do.
Get to meet Wes and Martinez, and I did not know. I don't know if they ever said Martinez's first name in the TV series. I think it was almost always Martinez.
Martinez. I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question. You know, I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to like look that up on IMDb or something. Because if you had a first name on the show, it would be in IMDb. I think usually they're pretty good about that. Yeah,
because they're really good. Well, I'll save that for a future episode.
Okay.
I'll save that for a future episode. But Cesar Martinez.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay.
They take their weapons, shuttle them in to Woodbury, and they get to meet right off the bat the governor.
Yes.
Who takes them to some entertainment.
Yes, he does. And we find out that Woodbury is only, and I think in the show it seems much larger. It almost seems like a town. The way that they film it, it seems like it's the whole town. In the comic, it's 4 square blocks. That's it.
Yep. Yeah, and I'm trying to think into whether it's because they're in the TV series, the governor and Andrea, lovey-dovey, walking down the main street or whatever, and they go for a while. But yeah, you do get a sense. I guess ultimately, when you look at how much people travel in any of those shots, you could say, okay, that could be bounded by 4 blocks. But it sure felt. When I was kind of surprised when they said that in the comic, I was like, well, that seems small.
Well, because even if you look at the front, right, where they had the vehicles meeting to kind of block stuff, there was really nothing beyond that. It was a lot of like trees and sort of rubble and stuff, but it wasn't houses and like a neighborhood or a Walmart, and so even towards the end in the show, when what is his name, Stevens dies, that's sort of an open area that is contained inside Woodbury. So I was a little surprised in the comic that it was only 4 square blocks, although I suppose that doesn't leave you a whole lot of options plot wise on television. So
yeah, but during at the end of this episode, they're into this issue. Into this issue, I'm gonna do an episode. I'm gonna do an episode of this where I say issue the whole time, but not this one.
Clearly
not this one. But as this issue winds down, the governor takes them into the zombie arena and drops a little piece of information to them to say, oh yeah, we feed strangers to zombies.
We feed them strangers, stranger.
Yeah, so it's
not
a good sign. Plus, yeah, the guy looks like a bad guy.
he's unlike what was that line from Roger Rabbit? I'm not bad, I'm just drawn that way. He is bad, and he's drawn bad.
Yes.
He's very dark looking. It looks like he's got greasy hair, and he's just
Just the big curly handlebar mustache is the only thing he's missing. I am a villain.
I know, it's just twirling it. Yeah.
To stranger. But he did.
So there's more riot gear on the cover of the next one. Your favorite one, apparently, of
Yeah.
the four, which I'm not going to focus.
Which your what?
Mine was the visor.
Yeah, well, I'm not asking you to change. Am I allowed to have a different favorite? Is that acceptable?
No, damn it! Of course.
Here's why, and I share this not meaning to
I'm
change
giving you
your
crap
mind.
because you kept shoving that Saul doll up into the camera earlier.
Oh, so he's only made. First of all, it's not a doll; it's a bobblehead. It's
Okay.
not a doll. It's not a doll.
Okay.
And he's made far less appearances than he could have.
Far less appearances while we've been recording. Let's be clear.
Well, that's true. But I wanted to scare you. So, was successful. So here's, I really do like the visor cover quite a bit. Why I liked this one a little bit better. So this is a very kind of stark red and black, and it's somebody in body armor beating somebody down. They're kind of on an angle down, and they're swinging the riot billy club.
Yes.
And what I just kind of what I was struck by is the way it was drawn and framed. It was kind of, you could kind of see them looking a little bit like a knight. So it was the right gear. So, and then there was also kind of with the club, kind of almost a cross with the billy club too. So it's just, I thought they did a couple clever things they were showing one thing, but they had hints of other pieces, Black Knight and kind of the Crusades and the cross kind of thing. And just, so I thought it was kind of clever and good, but they're both good covers. So.
Awesome. Yeah, seriously, me, I'm just like, it's pretty. Next. Next. Okay, anyway. Good catch. So we're basically treated to a pretty lengthy I'm insane diatribe at the beginning here by the governor. And I don't know if you feel like delving into that at all, but
I mean he's kind of making it really clear to everybody. I want your stuff.
Yes.
I'm crazy.
I'm crazy.
I've got Gabe, my kind of tubby. See, he did so much better in TV where he had Merle, because all of these assistants pale in comparison.
But he's also much bulkier and taller and sort of, I don't know, he has a different air about him in the show. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, he's also a very good-looking actor, and, sort of stuffed into this really dark character. But he's stature-wise just larger and built better. And the governor in the comic is this sort of greasy-haired, and he's toned. His muscles are very toned, but he's not intimidating to look at, other than the fact that he's ugly.
Yeah, and he's not a particularly tall guy either. I mean, he's not broad and big, muscular, and he's not the David Morrissey character entirely.
Yes.
Entirely different on about. I mean, and this governor appears to achieve things through coercion and fear, where charm and charisma seem to be a little bit more of the stock in trade for TV governor.
Yeah, he size-wise, he's not menacing at all. So what they accomplish with him is sort of on an immediate, I'm nuts sort of diatribe in order to get you to accept that, because he's actually, I mean, he just looks like a little scared homeless guy by himself. He's not threatening to look at. He's just not attractive.
But we do learn you don't have to be big to swing a knife.
Apparently.
And swing a knife.
Rick and a swinging knife.
And all the way through Rick's hand. And so Rick is now short a hand.
I want to say, I gotta give him a little credit, because he seems to have done a much cleaner job chopping off Rick's hand than Rick did with Alan's leg.
Yeah, so apparently he and Rick are good close friends too. Yeah, because it was I want to say dolphin smooth, but that's not what I want to say. It was a very smooth, uninterrupted. It was a cut. I mean, it was like a knife through butter. Maybe Rick has buttery wrists. I don't know, but it was. Maybe Alan had very strong, pumpy legs.
Yeah, just buttery wrists. I just don't even. What? Okay, yeah, all right.
That sounds like a good taunt to something. You got buttery wrists, buddy.
Is it like you got a purty mouth? You got buttery wrists?
Yeah, purty mouth and buttery wrists. There you go. We're going to lose Jeans. I know what can stop Jeans from laughing. Saul. Serious up. We got a show to do.
All right. I'm sorry. Oh, that was bad. I'm gonna have to edit this out. I am crying. Oh, okay. So yeah, they didn't take the 6 frames that it took to chop off Alan's leg. I mean, and to be fair, a leg is a little bit, I mean, I'm sure there's probably more to cut through, but still, anyway, it was a much cleaner cut that Rick got than he gave. Was my point.
Yes.
Before
Yeah,
we got to buttery wrists.
Yes, that was fair. I'm not bringing up Rick and his buttery wrists anymore, but.
You will. Like miming and jorts, it'll come up. I know it.
Yeah, it probably will. Because, but what I tell you, Michonne could have used a little bit of butter on the governor's ear. She went and took a big old chunk of that out.
Yeah, so she goes flying on to the governor and takes his ear in her teeth and spits it out. Batooey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which had to hurt.
A little bit.
Imagine that felt good.
No. And this is where we meet Stevens then. And Stevens appears to be like in some type of, I don't know, lab setting, doctor's office type scenario.
Yeah, some sort of first aid station or something. There's equipment and beds, and so I'm assuming it's there for their I don't know if I wouldn't call it a hospital, but it's their infirmary.
Right. And he would like to know what exactly happened to Rick, that he's got to bandage him up, and the governor basically tells him to mind his own damn business.
And he says, well, I should take care of your ear. And he goes, no, take care of this guy first. Don't let him die. And just to kind of really drive home, this is just, this guy's pretty bad. He's like, don't mess up the armor because that's mine. He's like, to take his Rick came with the body armor. And he's like, yeah, I want that. And that was a big thing. The governor said, don't mess it up.
Yeah.
Which I think Rick is bigger than the governor. It would have been awesome in future episodes when the governor was wearing it for him to look like a little kid. It's too big. But
I agree.
It didn't happen that way. And we meet his assistant, Dr. Stevens' assistant, medical assistant Stevens' assistant Alice. And neither of them seem like super thrilled with the governor.
No, I don't. I think the only person who's like really super thrilled with him is Martinez at this point. But, and this is also so. We come to a close on a really dark chapter here.
Yes, we do.
Where basically the governor is letting us know sort of what he plans on doing with Michonne, and it's terribly, terribly awful nasty. And I have to admit, the first time I ran through and read the comics, this particular scene, scenario between 28 and 29 almost made me stop reading. Like, just put it down and never pick it up again, sort of thing. And I thought, can't really, I mean, how much more of this type of thing could there possibly be? So I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And it was okay after that. But I really did not care for sort of that type of violence against women. And it's, I think, a little bit difficult in the comic, because in TV, when they do something, you're watching it and it's over and it's out of sight. In the comic, it's like right there in front of you. And it's a little daunting to have to go through frame by frame, and it's just all there in front of you. Even when you get past that particular frame, it's still on the page in front of you, right there happening. So I think it's just a little daunting to get through that particular bit.
Yeah, and I agree that this was. I mean, so there are several moments in this whole pretty powerful moments in the comic
Mhm.
where just intense moments, not necessarily good intense, but just intense. And obviously, this is one of the biggest ones. There's a couple others coming up too, but this is more sustained. This goes for quite a while, um, and yeah, we don't in 28 here, issue 28. We get you get the whole setup because she's in this room. She's her arms are chained to the side. The reason I bring that up is that on the because I had no interest whatsoever with this portion of the story being recreated in any fashion
Agreed.
on the
Agreed.
television show. And so I didn't know. I felt they could establish a lot of other ways that the governor was a bad guy, or if they were going to have this as a component, it would be spoken about something. Just I didn't want to have any because I would have had a hard time watching it. You make a great point around the fact that in a comic it doesn't go away,
Right.
that it's still there. But it would have been pretty intense in the TV show, and
I tweeted about that as soon as we found out that they were going to have the governor on. That was like one of the first things that I tweeted was I really hope that they're not going to cover some of the things that he does because I don't want to watch it.
Yeah, and in the TV show, in the process of trying to intimidate Maggie,
Mm-hmm.
he does, he kind of pushes her over a table,
Right.
and then so that's at a moment I'm all like, are we about to go there? And they didn't, and so
Right.
a bit of a relief. And I think that was conscious that they knew for the comic readers out there to say, we know we can't go there, but we're gonna make you second guess. And then when he created his little torture room, there was a scene as he's testing out all of his equipment. There was a scene where there are two poles and some chains that he grabs with both arms, and he kneels down and he's checking the strength of the chains. And I was just like, oh,
Yeah.
I hope not. I also just have a really hard time, as good an actor as David Morrissey was, having him credibly pull off the stuff that's hinted at here that's more than hinted at in the next issue.
Right. I agree. As much as like you hated him in the show, and especially I think if you didn't read the comic, you probably hated him more. You hated him a little less in the show because he wasn't quite as dark as he is in the comic. And I think you're right. I'm not convinced having the comparison of the two that he could have pulled that off properly. I mean, possibly if I had not read the comic, maybe, but the governor in the comic is far darker. I mean, not the guy, the guy in the show, super dark. I get it. He's much more like Machiavellian in the comic than he is in the show. He still has some sort of charm, and he's got some leadership abilities, and he's got some I don't want to say positives because I mean they I guess they sort of are, but they're what I'm saying. And the guy in the comic, none of that.
And he doesn't look dreamy.
No, he doesn't look dreamy.
He looks a little dreamy. And we don't want to spoil future comic, so we won't go through it. But I do think, just like in the television show, they had to do some things to take the edge off the governor. There's another character coming down the road where they're going to have to deal with this individual's vocabulary.
Yes.
Because that's going to be a problem. And I just like to point out the answer's in front of us, Jeans. What if this individual's a mime? Because this would solve the problem. Because if this individual is a mime, we don't have the language issue. So I'm just saying, this isn't a spoiler. I'm not guaranteeing.
There are no mimes in the apocalypse.
But wouldn't it be awesome? Wouldn't it be awesome? All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Think about it. I'll park my mime talk for a while, but when this character comes back, I'm gonna draw some parallels here, but we'll see.
Okay. I'll be waiting with bated breath.
I bet you will. I'll bring Saul in for that episode.
Oh God. Your doll.
Bobblehead.
Doll.
Bobblehead. The other one's an action figure. The Alice one's an action figure, and Saul's a bobblehead.
Yes.
Neither of them are dolls.
Of course. All right. So on that note, is there anything else you want to discuss about these 4?
Awesome covers, great storyline, getting to one real dark point here, and there's lots of stuff to talk about with the governor. So looking forward to it. But no, I enjoyed it, and the story's obviously picking up steam. So that's all I got.
Yeah, I agree. The story is definitely starting to pick up steam and go in a great direction. I just have to get past this little dark speed bump, and then I'll be fine.
Soon.
Next week.
I think that next group of 4. I'll have to, so I know because there's a couple moments coming up here that there's pretty intense stuff going on, and hopefully we catch a little break and they don't all bundle around the same fort, because it'll be a dark episode. Saul might have to join us for that one too. Bring a little lightness in there. Hey, lighten up, guys.
Like your security blanket, just.
Yeah. And just be it's okay. It's okay.
All right, on that note, thanks for joining us. See you next week.
See ya.